I'm live. YouTube says I'm live, therefore it must be true. Good morning. I just got a message to say I must verify myself to YouTube. So I got into a panic and thought, oh my God, am I going to be delayed again? So it seems that everything's cool. We are here. Hopefully you can hear me. If you are on, can you let me know if you can hear me? That'd be great. Before we get cracking, because I have a big one today. So I can hear you. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate that so much. Thank you. So welcome to the Collapse Broadcast, episode 5. I am in sunny, icy London today, on my way to Italy for the final 2 Codex retreats of the year. By the end of this year, can you imagine? By the end of this year, I'm in awe of it. I'll have taken up to 60 beings through Collapse retreats across the planet. UK, Mexico, Italy, USA. Each and every one of them has been a rupture, and each one the end of mimic in a human system. Each one also a point of no return. So I'm looking forward to these final 2 in Italy, starting on Monday. My name is Judy V, and I am the author, I can say this now, author of 2 best-selling books, What is Mimic? And IVF. 3 weeks since these books have been released now, today, 3 weeks ago. And What is Mimic is number 1 in sacred geometry right now, and IVF is number 2. And both show no signs of moving. I can't believe it. I absolutely can't believe it. I can't believe it, but I can believe it. And if you listen to my live I did a few days ago about why What is Mimic is doing what it's doing, I go into it, I explain it. And I did a follow-up live about how I have waited so many years for this moment, for this time, to get this out, to speak about this publicly on a large scale, hence the books. So go and check those out. I go into more detail as to why now is the time, because the world is ready. The time is now. And then just to recap briefly, like humanity is literally exhausted with becoming, with effort, with healing, with struggle, because all of it was Mimic's lie. All of it. And people are starting to see that. People are starting to know that. People are starting to really, really, really feel that. But before we go anywhere today, before we go into the broadcast collapse or the collapse broadcast today, I want you to know this. This is not resonance. It never has been and it never will be. This is collapse. This is not healing. This is not coaching. And it is most definitely not self-help. This is the death of Mimic and the emergence of what was always there. So if you come here looking for soothing, resonance, even familiarity, this is the wrong room. If you're here for truth, for codex, for sovereignty, and collapse, then stay. Because I really, truly do feel this is the most powerful collapse broadcast yet. This is the end of becoming and living as codex, or living as your codex operating system. It's not about growth. This session is not about potential. It's not about becoming more of who you are. It is about the end of becoming. And by the time we're finished today, you will have insight, you will have awareness, you will have sight of all the ways you live your life as becoming. If you've come here for next level, this is the wrong field. If you come here for progression, development, or evolution, you close this window now, because this is not what this is about. That belongs in the genre and the era that is collapsing of self-help. If you've come here because something in your body knows the era of becoming is over, lean in. Because this is the broadcast where becoming dies and your Codex operating system comes online. So let's begin with the truth that your body already knows. You didn't heal your way out of a loop. You didn't manifest your way out of the loop. You didn't align your way out of the loop. You didn't integrate your way out of the loop, and you didn't evolve your way out of the loop either, because becoming was Mimic's final religion. It was its most elegant disguise, its last sanctuary. Healing kept Mimic alive through pain. Purpose kept Mimic alive through identity. Passion kept Mimic alive through excitement. And becoming kept Mimic alive through time. That's the irony of it. Becoming kept Mimic alive through time, robbed you of time. Yet we think we're collapsing time in the realm or the frequency or the energy or the resonance of becoming, but what's costing us time. Becoming says you're almost there. Or just one more shift, one more upgrade, one more energetic calibration, one more breakthrough, one more version of you that you haven't met yet. But here's the truth about becoming. Every version of you created through becoming was Mimic rebuilding itself. Becoming was never spiritual. It was never awakening. It was never evolution. It was Mimic masquerading as destiny. And here's the thing. Your body always knew it. The body always knows. And this is a significant part of my work that I haven't spoken too much about, and I touch on it in What is Mimic? But we'll go deeper on it over time. The body always knows. How we treat body in this current civilization is an abomination. Body is key. The body always knows, always has done. You felt it every time you grew and nothing changed. You felt it every time you up-leveled but stayed in the same emotional cage. A brief respite, maybe, or not. You felt it every time you integrated but carried the same exhaustion into every single morning. You weren't evolving, you were stabilizing Mimic. Becoming was Mimic's after image, a ghost of identity flickering in front of your awareness, tricking you into chasing a future self that didn't exist, because becoming was Mimic's insurance policy. It's emergency generator. It's a smoke screen. It keeps Mimic safe. And you lived inside it, thinking you were expanding, when you were only rehearsing identity. More of the same with a different costume. Can you feel that? If you can feel that, it's the end of becoming beginning in your fascia. So let's cut this even deeper. Progress is mimics after image. The entire personal development world is built on the illusion of the upward slope. Effort, breakthrough, setback, integration, rebirth, on repeat, over and over, with different costumes, different cages. You weren't ascending, you were orbiting. Orbiting the same nucleus. Mimic. Every next level was mimic wearing a different mask. Every expanded version of you was mimic with new accessories. Every identity shift was mimic updating its software. And the self-help world taught you that you were always in transition, always on a path, always moving from one identity to another. Whether it is reframing beliefs, whether it's choosing another identity, whether it's clearing the identity of the whatever, the struggling one in the mimics world, in this personal development world, more of the same. You can't change identities like you change your clothes. And that's what personal development does. Lean into the identity of the wealthy one, the successful one. What is your why? And monetize your why. That's another identity that you are being told to put on, to wear. Always moving from one identity to another, always transforming but never arriving. Now, here is the issue with identity. Okay, I'm going to segue slightly. I think this is important. Identities are like presets. You know, when you buy a set of filters, a preset of filters for your camera, for your photos. They come with a fixed set, a range of shades, if you will. That's the same with an identity. Every single identity that we allow to live, ourselves to live, to attach to us, has a preset of behavioral patterns, emotions, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, reactions, responses. And when that identity is up front and running, there is nothing that can happen outside of that preset, because you are being dictated to. Your authorship has been hijacked. That is the identity. That's an identity. And that is why so often you feel stuck. It's because it's within you're trapped within the cage of that identity. Here's the thing. Every single identity has an anti-identity. You have the polar opposite of that identity. So you ping pong between the two. I'm a great mom. I'm a shit mom. Sorry. I'm a bad mom. I'm wealthy. I'm poor. I'm brilliant. I'm not. You've got, because in the world of mimic, you're living in the world of duality. So therefore, there has to be both identities. So you're ping ponging between two presets. That's not sovereignty. That's not autonomy. So when we are on the path, always on a path of becoming, always moving from one identity to another, always transforming, never arriving, because if you arrived, mimic would die. So mimic made arrival impossible. It showed you a more fancy identity instead. Becoming is the architecture of never-ending almost. Becoming creates the distance between you and truth. It introduces time. It introduces hope and future and identity and homeland. Identity is mimics citizenship. Identity is mimics homeland. Mimic is the architect of every who you think you should be. Because becoming is built on identity, and identity is built on interference. And this is the lie of the entire human spiritual ecosystem was built on. Identity is energetic interference. It's not you, not yours. The lie that the entire human spiritual ecosystem was built on, who you are becoming matters more than who you are. That's the lie. Who you are becoming is mimic. Who you are is codex. There is no next version of you. There is no future self. That's mimic. There is only the version that appears when mimic is deleted. The version that is not built through effort, discipline, or healing, but through deletion of interference, deletion of identity, deletion of becoming. Collapse doesn't give you another identity. Collapse removes the author of identity. When mimic falls, you don't become, you remain. Still, neutral, exact. And from that neutrality, your codex operating system emerges. Not as potential, as operation. Not as evolution, as execution. Not as identity, but as law. Let the nervous system catch up to the frequency you're in. The next level was Mimic's favorite drug, the promise that kept you enrolled, the carrot that kept you running, the fantasy that kept you obedient. Mimic's slogan was always the same. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is a massive pet hate I have. Mimic's slogan was always the same. You're not enough yet. You're not enough yet. That's Mimic's slogan. You're not enough yet. And that keeps you in becoming. What does the self-help world do? You are enough. Ping-ponging between the two identities. You're not enough yet. I'm enough. Not enough yet. I'm enough. Each with their own preset of thoughts, feelings, emotions, responses, reactions to everything that have hijacked your authorship, ensuring that you do not have autonomy or sovereignty. Becoming is Mimic's version of almost healed, almost ready, almost aligned, almost powerful, almost sovereign, almost embodied. And when you believe that, Mimic owned your future. Because becoming only exists in the future. Mimic kept you living in tomorrow, so you never noticed Today was already true. But here's the cut that no one names. If you've been chasing becoming, and hear this, because this is really probably the most critical part of today's Collapse broadcast. If you've been chasing becoming, then the today you call truth is not your codex. It is mimic's residue. A present moment built from false identities that hijacked your everything. What you want, what you love, your decisions, your direction, your sense of self, everything. You weren't living today. You were living mimic's version of today. A day authored by distortion. A day built the momentum of becoming. A day calibrated to everything you were trying to escape. And that's why the present moment never freed you, because it wasn't the present, it was mimic's projection. It was the after image of identity. It was the echo of who you were trained to be. Today becomes true only after collapse. Before collapse, even the present is a lie. Becoming is the currency of mimic. Neutrality is the currency of codex. Mimic keeps you busy so you forget you're sovereign. Codex keeps you still so law can move. When mimic dies, truth appears not as a feeling, not as alignment, not as expansion, but as function. And here's another thing that is sold as a lie, but in Codex, the truth is, truth doesn't glow. The whole personal development world, New Age, spirituality, all that side, all that has put a version of truth on a pedestal that is mimic, and it's like haloed. In Codex, truth does not glow. It does not inspire, and it doesn't elevate. Truth simply operates. No pomp and ceremony. The moment mimic collapses, nothing uplifts, but everything obeys. Stillness becomes intelligence. Silence becomes power. Neutrality becomes authorship. And this is why, post-collapse, life can feel boring for a moment, for a minute. Because the nervous system is withdrawing from mimic's drug. Becoming was mimic's stimulant. But Codex is the baseline. And baseline is where you finally meet yourself. The you beneath identity. The you beneath evolution, becoming. The you that doesn't hope, that robs you of time, of authorship, of sovereignty, of power and empowerment. The you that doesn't strive. The you that doesn't wait for the universe to give you permission. The you that is law in flesh. This is the truth your mind has been running from, because mimic can't survive in that silence. So what is Codex OS operating system? When we step into our Codex operating system, it's not a concept, it's not mindset, and it's not a philosophy, it's not a belief system. It is your original operating system, the one that existed before Mimic wrote its script over your biology. And here's the architecture, and I spoke about it briefly earlier. Body. Body is the receiver of law. It is the receiver of your codex. The body is not a container for emotion. It is the antenna of truth. When Mimic collapses, fascia stops storing and starts transmitting. Second is being. Your being is the director of frequency. It doesn't evolve. It does not heal. The being does not integrate. The being issues command through silence. And then third is planet. Amplifier of command. The planetary lattice doesn't respond to emotion. It responds to law. Your law. Through your body, directed by your being, and amplified by planet. That's your trilogy of being. And when you operate as Codex, reality adjusts without you asking. So your Codex operating system is body receiving and transmitting, being directing, and planet amplifying. No identity, no timeline, no becoming. Everything becomes immediate. You speak and the field reorganizes. You move and circumstances rearrange. You rest and reality recalibrates. Not because you manifested it, but because you issued law. Manifestation pleads with the field, law instructs it. You can look at it like this: becoming is manifestation's cousin, the assumption that you must prepare for what is already true. But here's the thing. Your Codex operating system has no preparation, no anticipation, and has no I am ready now. Codex operating system only has instruction, and instruction only works from neutrality. Neutrality is command, and emotion is mimic. Now I'll expand on that, because mimic will have you say, well, therefore I feel nothing. No, that's not what I said. Emotion isn't you. Emotion is mimic trying to get your attention. Emotion is the pressure wave of an identity being threatened. It's the vibration of interference losing stability. It feels important because mimic amplifies it, but it has nothing to do with truth. Because truth does not tremble. Identity does. Emotion is the nervous system reporting distortion, not revealing direction. That's why every emotional breakthrough eventually collapsed. You were soothing mimic, not deleting it. And this is the part no one tells you. You don't become less human when emotion stops leading. You become more yourself. Because when mimic dies, the body doesn't go numb. It goes neutral. And neutrality is not apathy. Neutrality is what you feel when nothing false is speaking anymore. Emotion is not truth. Emotion is truth meeting interference. This is the operating system you return to when becoming dies. Let that settle. Let fascia feel the difference. You don't become Codex operating system. You stop becoming. And the operating system, your Codex operating system, reveals itself. So today, in this broadcast, we're deleting becoming. Speak this. Say this out loud. I end becoming. I run law. I end becoming. I run law. Say it again. I end becoming. I run law. How would you move? How would you speak? How would you stand in silence and stillness, knowing you run law? Feel how your body stabilizes. Feel how your breath deepens. Feel how your solar plexus and nervous system calms. That stability is your Codex operating system coming online. That is your birthright, not the becoming. Becoming collapses in silence. Law roots in silence. The moment mimic tries to narrate, am I doing this right? Is something happening? Should I feel something? Say nothing. Because silence is the second command. But what stops this being now your lived reality in this moment is the architecture of identities in place. Because you might be asking, well, if becoming is mimic and Codex operating system, my Codex operating system is already my nature, why isn't this my lived reality right now? Because Mimic didn't just create emotion or story, Mimic built an architecture of identities with a very strong foundation. Thousands of micro resonances stacked inside your fascia, held in place by memory, tension, anticipation, survival, imitation. This architecture hijacks your authorship in 1/10,000th of a second. Before you speak, before you decide, and before you even feel. Every moment of your life that didn't feel like choice, it wasn't. It was Mimic's architecture firing faster than consciousness. And that's what stops your Codex operating system from being your lived reality. Not lack of clarity, not lack of healing, not lack of commitment, architecture. Resonant identities held in place by Mimic's frequency scaffolding. And the hardest thing is that they mirror you. So on the surface, it feels like you, but it is not. And this is the work that I do with clients. Not healing their past, not improving their identity, not aligning their energy, but deleting the scaffolding that hijacks their authorship faster than awareness can intervene. Collapse does not give you power. Collapse returns what was stolen in 1/10,000th of a second, every single moment of every single day. Collapse deletes the architecture. And after that, your Codex operating system runs clean. Once the architecture collapses, reality stops negotiating with you. It obeys you. And when becoming dies, the world changes. People stop confusing you for their mirror. Situations stop demanding your effort. Problems stop requiring your processing. Opportunities stop needing your readiness, and everything becomes involuntary, automatic, obvious, because authorship replaces ambition. Execution replaces effort. Command replaces becoming. This is the consequence of your Codex operating system. You stop evolving, operating, seeking, issuing, hoping, and you start enforcing. And nothing is in the future anymore. Nothing is on its way, and nothing is almost. Everything is now, because law only operates in now. And when now becomes your only operating state, identity collapses, timeline collapses, and becoming collapses. And what remains is truth. Not the truth you seek, but the truth you are. So today wasn't about your next level. It was about deleting the illusion that next levels exist. Becoming dies here. And your Codex operating system begins here. So say this, speak this once. This body is not becoming, it is executing. Becoming has ended, law remains. And if you haven't got my book, What is Mimic? IVF. They're available in various marketplaces. And if you have got them and you enjoyed them, something shifted in your field, and if you feel it is truth for you, I would love it if you left a review on Amazon and send me a snapshot of it, or share it on social media and tag me, Judy V Codex, and I will invite you to a deep dive. We have a deep dive coming up where I'm going to pull the curtains back on Mimic in our daily lives and show you all the nuances, so that when you start to see it, when you really start to see it, the interesting thing happens is you don't see it with your mind. You will never see it with your mind. You will feel it with your body, and you'll start activating what I call the Trilogy of Being, body, being, and planet. And when your body comes online, when your Trilogy of Being comes online, that is the foundation of you rooting and living your Codex operating system. And we'll do a deep dive. so that your body starts to notice, recognize, and see where it's playing out in your life, where it's hijacking authorship and therefore robbing you of your autonomy and sovereignty. Thank you for joining me. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. I will come back in and I will answer them. Otherwise, I will see you shortly. And next time, I'll probably be in Italy when I come on live. Bye.